Hi guys, and welcome back to Nail on Sunday podcast with me, Chris, and my beautiful wife and co-host, Rebecca. Hey, baby.
God, you did that in front of someone as well. It's really embarrassing.
In front of someone. Oh, guys, we have a special guest with us today, and I'm going to give you some clues so that you can work out who it is. Clue number 1, they have Italian heritage. Clue number 2, they have long black hair. Clue number 3, not the last one, because I've just remembered another one.
Wow. How many clues is that?
4, they are friends with Rebecca. You know where I'm going with this, don't you? And clue number 4, their initials are LP. Yes, that's right. You all know who it is. It's not who you think it is. It's not Lucy Pastorelli. It's Laura Bracey. Welcome, Laura.
Hi, everyone. No one's even looking at what
What in the
I
France?
told you I had a funny intro.
Wow.
Oh.
For anybody who is listening on a podcast and not watching YouTube, Laura has a mini hand on her finger and is waving at the camera. Wow.
Wow.
Not
Something
ready.
actually funny. I thought we were doing like a serious topic, so I'll start with something lighthearted.
Yeah, the
Wow.
problem is like nobody can see it when they're listening to the podcast. She doesn't get this, does
Oh.
she? She is like a proper
Wipe
not
your
millennial.
tears with your mini hand.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the show. Today we are going to talk about something super serious. You've probably seen the title of the podcast. What we're going to title this? Why we're ditching the term hypoallergenic.
Yeah, something to that effect.
Excellent. But today, right now, we're going to just talk about we're going to chew the fat. What?
Oh, right. Okay.
What is, honey? You look super intelligent with those glasses
Thanks.
on. Laura?
Harry Potter?
Oh,
Is he?
Laura, you look also super intelligent with those sunglasses, glasses on.
Deirdre Barlow or Harry Potter? Which do you prefer?
I just look cool all the time, don't I, guys? I had to join in. I don't have glasses.
I actually can't see anything though when I wear them like this, so I can't wear them because it's only for reading.
Oh, so you can't see far away.
They're blurry now.
Okay.
Oh well.
Good. My eyes are killing me today.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the term hypoallergenic and what it means to us in a little minute, but we just want to give a roundup of what's going on. So today, as you listen to this podcast, we are going to be launching something amazing.
We hope this weekend. Yeah, it will be.
We
It will
hoped.
be.
Did
It
you
will
say
be.
we hoped?
We hoped? Hoped?
Yeah.
Very fitting.
There
Mm-hmm.
might also be clues of other stuff that's coming up in the future, but also related, just lying around the podcast studio, just the way we do here, not saying anywhere over there.
Yes, so shall I say what we're launching this weekend?
Well, yeah.
Well, this goes out on Sunday.
Yep.
Unless there's like a catastrophe,
Oh, jeez.
we should be launching, I know, touch wood, we should be launching our, for now I'm going to say, HPMA-free Duragel.
Why is she being so weird? Have you cast a spell on her?
No,
What is going on?
because we're not calling it hypoallergenic anymore.
I know.
We're not using that term, and we
I
haven't
know.
introduced the other new term.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying HPMA-free.
So weird to see like
Or
three.
you could say it and you could bleep it out.
That's true. Do you have that effect?
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Minus 4 Duragel.
Oh, that was actually chimes. You guys. Could hear. Okay.
Wah, 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 wah.
Oh, I
Anyway,
I do have that one.
that's what you have to endure for the whole
I
time.
love the soundboard. I think it adds so much to a podcast.
Yes, I guess it does. So yeah, we are launching that this weekend. We're really excited. So many people have been waiting for that. Our Duragel is a firm favourite right now. So to have one which is HPMA-free suitable for people with allergies is very, very exciting. And honestly, I think it performs exactly the same as normal Duragel. So
Something you've been working on for a long time, right?
yeah,
As with everything, but again, we just need to preface this. Everything that goes on in nail order usually is 6 months out. So you probably
plus.
yeah.
Plus.
And now we're getting to the products we're releasing is ultra complex in terms of how Rebecca is fine tuning it. It's now 9-12 months out. So we've been working these for a long time. So well done, Rebecca. She does all right, doesn't she? Snaps.
We don't clap at nail order, we do snaps.
We do snaps.
Because we're all sensitive to noise.
Yeah.
Hashtag neurodivergence. So yeah, we're very excited, and I think you guys are going to love it. So we cannot wait for that. And it is why we are doing this podcast, because it times with us dropping the term hypoallergenic and starting a new campaign, because this is going to be the first product that has that term printed on the packaging.
Okay. So let's just touch on see if your throat's going to do weird noises. Can you tell me? I can just fade you down. Freak.
That sounded like an internal thing. I'm really surprised that you could hear that.
Oh yeah, we could hear it.
Amplified, love it.
Okay.
Okay.
These mics pick up everything.
Farts.
Everything.
Okay, so let's get into the meat and bones of this. Meat and the bones? Meat and two veg?
No,
Oh,
it's
God.
definitely not that.
Is that the
Definitely
meat and the
not that.
bones? Oh, golly. Right, okay. So, what does the term hypoallergenic actually mean? And let's go for more of a straight down the line dictionary meaning.
So it means something that you are less likely to have an allergic response to. So just less. Hypo means less, hyper means more.
Okay, so what does it actually mean to you, Rebecca?
I mean, I guess it's a really good question. I think prior to my experience owning a brand and having an understanding of chemicals and how chemicals work in the body and stuff, I think I would have thought hypoallergenic means you can't physically have an allergic reaction to something. I think that's what I would have thought. Yeah. What about you, Laura?
I don't think that, and only because I learned from a very young age. So my mum and my brother had asthma. Well, they have asthma, but you know how you kind of grow out of asthma. They
True
did
facts.
have it really, really badly.
Fun
when
fact
I
is
was
that
younger.
Chris grew into asthma. He didn't have it as a child.
Yeah.
And then he developed it as an
really
adult.
drew the
It's,
short
it's
straw.
the
and
weirdest
like-
thing. So I grew into asthma, but then when I took up running, I grew out of asthma. It's
Yeah.
the weirdest thing.
It does happen to like smokers and stuff as well, though, doesn't it? They grow into asthma.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so they had it quite badly when I was younger. And you guys know me, I'm a dog lover. Like, I love dogs. So I really wanted a dog, and I would continue to ask for one, and my mum would always say, we can't, we're allergic. I mean, besides the fact that obviously they hate dogs, but
Do you think this is actually? I think this is more childhood trauma than
this
hypoallergenic
isn't a
stuff.
podcast about allergies. It's actually just a trauma dump.
But they do love Bailey.
Yeah, they love Bailey. He's the exception,
But he's also an exceptional dog.
Yeah.
He's not a dog.
and he's a hypoallergenic dog.
He is a
Which leads
hypoallergenic.
me to my point where I'm going to say I was always asked for a hypoallergenic dog. I'm like, oh, you can get a hypoallergenic one, that's fine. And she would explain to me it doesn't matter because obviously they're bred a certain way where they're either like less furry or like not as shedding, or completely non-shedding at all. And so she would say to me it doesn't matter because she's still allergic to like the proteins from their saliva and things like that. And then that was from a young age when I learned that hypoallergenic doesn't necessarily mean hypoallergenic. But I can appreciate that not everyone understands that.
It's like anything. There's a range, isn't there? So actually, if we talk about dogs, which is a really easy way to understand it, we've got Bailey and Dakota. Both of them are technically hypoallergenic dogs. But if I brush Bailey, almost nothing comes out. It would be the same as like brushing my own hair. Like he has actual hairs, like the odd hair here or there will come out. If I brush Dakota, also technically a hypoallergenic dog, a lot more hair comes out. So again, it's a range, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that leads us on to the way the term hypoallergenic can be perceived. So let's discuss how it can be perceived in the nail industry.
So this is the problem, that hypoallergenic has no agreed upon scientific definition, as it alludes to cosmetics. So brands can adopt it as they please. Again, as we've said, hypoallergenic simply means less likely to invoke an allergic response. So a brand in the nail industry, for instance, could use the term hypoallergenic to refer to something which is simply free from HEMA. Technically it is hypoallergenic. Technically it is less likely to cause an allergic reaction. So brands can use it as they please. We've talked about this before. At nail order, it meant free from the 4 main allergens, so HEMA, Di-HEMA, IBOA, and HPMA. But we did a whole piece on this, didn't we, a while ago? But there are brands who use the term just for HEMA-free. There are brands that use it for IBOA, HEMA, HPMA, and HEMA-free. Yes, that's right. I'm like, what am I trying to say? So it can be used interchangeably as they feel because there is no agreed upon scientific definition when it comes to cosmetics.
And that's something that's really kind of sparked a lot of questions within nail order and how we market things. And this is really what it's coming down to. So how is the term portrayed by other brands in terms of their marketing campaigns?
I mean, some brands that is like their biggest marketing thing, isn't it?
Well, you have brands that are a hypoallergenic brand, and then you have brands that have a hypoallergenic range, is what I would say. So, like, it differs from person to person. And then I was also watching, like, some Jim McConnell videos last night just to make sure that, you know, it was all fresh in my mind. And he was obviously explaining when it comes to, one of them was like, HEMA, you could even say that using between like 1 and 7% in a formula is less allergenic, whereas if you use between 20 and 35%, that would be more allergenic. So it doesn't always necessarily mean for a brand to be hypoallergenic that the monomer is completely removed. It's that it's
They're allergy
less,
conscious.
It's either allergy conscious and there's less of it. So, but to us, it obviously means it's removed, not less of.
Yeah. The problem comes in the nail industry where there's a misunderstanding of the term hypoallergenic, combined with the fact that you're applying chemicals to people's bodies, which is dangerous in itself. There's always going to be a risk involved. And unfortunately, people hear the term hypoallergenic, they think like what I've thought, you can't physically have a reaction. It's just not the case. When you are using chemicals that are needed to make a working gel polish product, there is always going to be allergens in them. There's always going to be acrylates of some sort, and acrylates are an allergen. Yes, we can remove the most reactive of them, but it doesn't leave you with a product which is safe. No nail products are safe. We need to ensure that we do not use this term to mislead people and scaremonger people. We should not be using that word to market our gels. That's what I think anyway. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and it is quite upsetting as well when you see misinformation spread, where it is being marketed as a safe option where there's no risk of reaction, and unfortunately that is kind of part of the problem that we're trying to address today.
And that's something that we actually have seen in those. You were showing me something earlier on today, and it is literally a brand saying, essentially, well, not even essentially.
Not essentially,
That's what they
ours
said.
does not cause allergies because it's hypoallergenic.
It's just not a thing, and we need people to understand that. And the only way they can understand that is by educating themselves on the products that they are using, by looking at SDS, as we've talked about 100 times. Really, when we look at an SDS, which can be a really confusing document, the only thing that you really need to be paying attention to is the chemicals that are listed on that. Just scroll straight. That's what I do. I just scroll straight to the chemicals that are listed, and that's what I'll read. I'm not reading anything else. That is the part that is the important part when you're a nail tech, really. Concentrating on what you're using.
You did a podcast with Shan from Clogasmic back a couple of years ago where you spoke about SDS and what to look for on it. I think I will probably link to that show because you go into depth on what to look for on SDS. So maybe that's something, if you've never heard of an SDS, don't really know what it is, or you don't know how to examine it or look at it, I think that's a good representation for that.
Yeah, I think nail techs really need to be aware of what sort of documentation they should have on, not on them, but to hand, in case they had a client who had an allergic reaction. It's something that they need to be able to refer to. So they do need to be familiar with an SDS sheet.
Should you not actually have that as part of the cosh? Or a PIF of some sort?
Well, yeah, but the nail tech wouldn't need to have a PIF. Although, if you put PIF stands for product information file, it's something that we have to have as a brand. But if you had an inspection for environmental health for whatever reason, I can remember when we had one before at the salon, and that's because we have a license for microblading, but the license is a tattoo and skin piercing license. And just because she was doing the inspection, she actually wanted to go into some things about nails and things like that. And those were questions that she was asking about. Do you have that? Do you know what this is? Etc. Etc. So it is something that you probably do want to be aware. Not probably, you do want to be aware of as a nail tech, and maybe something we need to all start thinking about, including in education and things like that.
Yeah, I think our SDS sheets are freely available on our website, so you can go download them and stuff. I'm just thinking to ourselves, it's not something we really push, like for people to go download them. Maybe that's something
I do have a video on TikTok. It's a tutorial on how to find our SDS and how to go through it and what you're looking for. So if anyone that's watching this wants to see that, give us a message on Instagram and I'll send the link to it.
Or I'll link it in the show notes.
Oh yeah, or you could do that.
You could do that.
Forgetting what I'm doing here.
Yeah. Laura is overworked and underpaid. No, wait. Sorry.
Got it right this time.
Just one thing I want to touch on, just we were talking about safety there. I've seen recently, I did quite a bit of research for this show, and one thing I've seen is gel polish freely being available on things like Amazon and TikTok Shop. And the reason it can be there, I think this is a whole podcast for another time, so maybe we should get into that in another time. But because it's HEMA-free, hypoallergenic, they can sell it on that, is that right?
Yeah, so products that do not contain HEMA or Di-HEMA. So HEMA and Di-HEMA are restricted in the sense that they have what is considered a safe percentage or a limit that they're allowed to be put into products. I mean, Di-HEMA is 99%, so it's almost a moot point. Hey, Laura. We learned it's not mute point, it's moot point.
I thought it was moot point. A cow's opinion. Joey from Friends, that's what he says. So it's a moot point.
No.
That's another misunderstanding. In
There you go. There you go. What were we saying?
Moot point.
What was a moot point though?
It is a moot point now.
Selling these things on
Yeah,
TikTok and Amazon.
Di-HEMA is allowed to be in things up to 99%, HEMA at 35%. But another restriction placed on them is that if they are present, the product needs to be marked as professional use only, and they can only be sold to professionals. So nothing containing either of those chemicals should be freely available anywhere. You know, you should have to have qualifications to purchase them. And I mean, you talk about some products that, you know, they're allowed to, or they are sold because they're free of that. Products that contain both of those chemicals are freely available on all sorts of websites. But yeah, no, I think you're right. I think the whole Amazon, eBay, TikTok shop thing could be a whole episode in itself. Should professional use products, and let's be honest, any UV gel is a professional use product, should they be sold to the public, general public?
Let us know for a
Absolutely
future
not.
podcast. Drop down, give us a comment, just what your thoughts and opinions of it. Laura, you obviously
Short answer, no.
you
In my
obviously
opinion.
run our TikTok into the ground. You run our TikTok shop. How would you ever consider putting our gels on it?
I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't consider putting gel products on TikTok shop because, for a multitude of reasons, obviously. Firstly, safety. I think as a brand, you have a responsibility to ensure that your products are being used safely, and you can't ensure that if the people that are buying it are not professional, and it's a professional product. And then also the fact as well that if a non-professional gets a hold of it, uses it incorrectly, gives himself an allergy or whatever, that will then reflect badly on your product and therefore as a brand.
That's one of the things, sorry to cut you off, Rebecca, but that is one of the things that I have the fear of, that we make these products as safe as possible, but there are products that we have that contain like HEMA and stuff in it. What if it goes into the wrong hands, you know? Or if it were me and it was my brand and I don't care and I'm just selling it, how do you sleep at night knowing that potentially somebody could have a really bad reaction to that?
I think Laura, we were talking about this earlier, and Laura brought up a really good point as well, which is on TikTok shop. When these products are available on TikTok shop, other nail techs are promoting them and getting a kickback, you know, with the commission and stuff, then you're actually part of the problem. You are actually part of the problem, maybe inadvertently, but you are part of the problem of encouraging at-home users to use these products.
Is it for at-home use, or are they trying to encourage other nail techs to use it?
They're probably
Other
trying.
nail techs,
They're probably
yeah.
trying to encourage
It's not
other
with
nail
malice
techs.
intent, I don't
No,
think.
absolutely not. I totally agree. But you have no control over who that content goes out to. You know, anybody can see that content.
Yeah, if you're an
So,
affiliate, you're not shipping the packages out.
yeah.
You don't care, you're just making the money.
It's all about, like you said the word safety earlier, and I suddenly I thought in my head, like, nothing is safe. Nothing you do is safe, but you take precautions. For instance, you drive a car. You take precautions by putting on a seatbelt. You take precautions by doing a driving test. You know, things like that.
It's not a precaution, it's more legal.
Yeah, but so is using a product that has HEMA in it. But do people abide by that? No. So it's all, nothing is safe. Nothing in this world is guaranteed or safe, but it's about the precautions that we can take to try and reduce the risk. It's always about reducing risk, but you cannot guarantee that there is no risk.
It's like that saying, guns don't kill people,
People
with
do.
guns do.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same with e-files. E-files aren't dangerous.
E-files don't kill people.
E-files don't cause damage.
People do.
People who aren't trained to use them properly cause the damage. Hypoallergenic or safe to use products, I mean, they can be as safe as you want, but if you put them in the wrong hands, then that's where the trouble comes.
100%. So yeah, this is obviously all the backstory as to why we are deciding to drop the term hypoallergenic.
It's not hypoallergenic if you get it all over your skin.
No, it's not.
Like,
It's not. Ask yourself this: would you drink it?
Depends if
No.
it's a Friday night.
So if you wouldn't drink it, how safe is it really?
Okay, so let's get into it. Why are we ditching, as a company, why are we ditching the term hypoallergenic?
So there's a bit of a backstory on this. There is. And so Laura and I will do these from time to time, educational pieces, often depending on what's going on in the industry. You know, if there's a piece of industry news, we might do something in response to that, or just in general, we feel like something needs to be highlighted, we'll go ahead and do it. And the term hypoallergenic, we've talked about it several times before and what it means in the industry. But when we started talking about it a little while ago, I said to Laura,
they need the context.
okay,
though.
you go
They
then.
need the
You go.
context.
You go.
The context was that we were filming an educational piece on what it means for a product to be hypoallergenic, and particularly what it means to nail order for a product to be hypoallergenic. And so as Becca was speaking, we do this together so that we could kind of have a back and forth and make sure the video is like very cohesive and all the points that we want to make are made. And kind of halfway through, she said, like, do you know what? Like, I just regret saying it. And I like, can I just say that? Like, and I was like, no.
I just wanted to say, I'm obviously very honest. I just want to say I regret it. And Laura's like,
Nope, you've done it now.
You can't see it.
Yeah. One thing with me as a marketer, I'm not a yes man. Like, I will never just be like, yeah, like, do what you want. I'll help you come to the decision that you already know is right, but you kind of need a wee bit of coaxing to get there.
Yeah, your point was you can't say it without doing anything about it. Yeah, that was the point.
Exactly. So you need to say, I regret using it, and here's the action that I'm taking. And I knew that you already wanted to do this. Like,
I regret using it, full stop.
Like, period, that's it. That is story. Goodbye, everyone.
Kind of like how I feel with Klarna and Clearpay right now.
Yeah. Kind of like that.
Hate using it.
Full stop.
Stop. It's another story for another podcast.
But yeah, so the reason we're making this educational content in the first place is because me and Becca were very active on social media. We're TikTok consumerists to the max, and we've seen a lot of people just getting confused by the term and not really understanding what it means, and partially because they've been misinformed by brands, but like sometimes other nail techs contribute to this misinformation as well, and everyone has their own wee podcast on TikTok nowadays. They all speak their mind, and I think that's really great. But with that, and not just the nail industry, TikTok in general, there is a lot of misinformation, and so it becomes very frustrating as a brand when you're using this term in a different way from what everyone else seems to be using it, even though we're trying to do the right thing and bring like unique formulas and allergy conscious formulas. This specific term, hypoallergenic, seems to be so misunderstood, and that's why you regret using it.
And we're trying to bring out education about it, about what it means to us, but with the best will in the world, not everybody's going to see that. You know, if it was guaranteed that everybody had seen that piece of information, yeah, okay, great, we could carry on with our lives and carry on using the term. But unfortunately, that's not the case. How often do you open a message on Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is, or Facebook, and it says, hi, can I ask, are your gels hypoallergenic? Every day.
Yeah, I get this question a lot, and that is another part of the frustration, or that I'm constantly having to educate customers on the nail order, like Instagram pages and DMs and stuff. They're wanting to switch to a hypoallergenic brand because they've perhaps had a bad experience with another brand that isn't so allergy conscious, and they've taken a reaction, but don't realise that there's so much more that goes into it. And it's like, how do you explain all of this? Like, hypoallergenic doesn't necessarily mean you won't take a reaction, blah 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 blah. Like, it's just a whole thing that could be avoided really if we just stopped using the term. Really.
Unfortunately, the term really has no meaning at all when it comes to cosmetics, does it?
It's also just a marketing ploy, really.
It is.
No, it is.
It is.
Sadly.
And it can be very different in skincare. I do want to follow that up. So, for instance, I was looking at the back of my skincare the other day, and it's Clinique, and it says 100% allergy tested. You know, they will do so. If brands like that, if they are applying the term hypoallergenic, and it's a skincare, a product which is for topical use, they will be applying that term very, very differently, and there will have been a lot of, actual testing done with that. So, specifically, I would say in the nail industry, the term just has no meaning, and we're not the first brand to be dropping the term. And I would like to, and I would like to see, other brands probably dropping the term, as the future goes on.
Before we started recording this, you were showing me a video on TikTok, which I'm now going to flash up for everyone to see.
What does hypoallergenic mean to you? Because to me, I thought that it was when it was something that you couldn't be allergic to, or that it wouldn't kind of trigger your allergy. You know, you can get hypoallergenic dogs or cats, and you can have them in your house even if you are allergic to fur. Yeah, but when it comes to gels, turns out that's not actually really the case. Hypoallergenic just means that they've removed or lowered the known allergen.
What's your take on that?
This was the what's the
catalyst?
The catalyst, yeah. I was going to say hit of the iceberg, but that doesn't sound right. The catalyst.
Tip of the iceberg.
Tip of the iceberg. That's it.
Tip of the warranty.
I had seen a lot of videos similar to this, but seeing that coming from someone, so a little bit of context to the girl in that video. She's someone that is converted to allergy conscious brand because she herself experienced an allergic reaction, and so she's doing her very best to educate herself within all these types of products in the industry. And seeing how easily people are being misinformed, especially someone like that is so intelligent, I just was like, no, that's it. Like, I obviously had it in the back of my mind that you were saying you regret it and you want to do something about it. So I believe as a marketer, it's my job to help you put that forward into the
Make my dreams
universe.
come true.
Make your dreams come true. Like, that is my job. So I was like, I need to think of a way that I can pitch to them to make your dreams come true. So the next morning I barged into the office.
We're doing it.
I was like,
She was wearing like
Everyone-
the full suit that day as
She
well.
actually, I think she was, yeah.
I did. When I'm in business, I usually wear something like this. And so I said to you guys, like, I totally agree with Becca. Like, she doesn't like the term. She wants to drop it. Here's a way where I think we can do it. And then we got to brainstorming. We had a little mini meeting, you and I together, didn't we? And then we came to Chris like little schoolgirls with our
Good
notebooks.
Let's run through them all. I will say just quickly before we get into that, like when we started using the term hypoallergenic, I think we got a little bit caught up with what was happening in the industry and seeing this term starting to become quite prevalent, and people were so allergy conscious and so worried about everything that was going on in the industry, quite rightly, that we thought, oh, if we use this, if we use this product, this term, then people are going to be less worried about our products and they'll know that we are like trying to do our best. Whereas it almost felt like simply using the term HPMA free wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I feel like we got a little bit swept up with that. But I think it's okay to, like, in retrospect, admit that it's just been a year since we've launched our gels. And like we always say, like there's going to be changes and things like that. And I think it's okay to like take a minute and go, do you know what? I don't like what we did there. Admit it.
We do that all the time.
We
Not
do.
just with this. We do this all the time. Where
And I
we
think
look back
that's
at
okay.
something and go, why did we do that?
Why did we do that? And I think if we had taken a little bit more pause for thought then, we probably would have, I don't know, maybe it wasn't the right time. Maybe now is just the right time for us to... Yeah, our intentions were certainly pure in what we were doing. But I think just in retrospect, like I said, it's been a year. I don't think it works for us now. I don't like the way the term's used. I don't like the misunderstanding behind the term. And like I said earlier, there's no way of us getting that message out to every single nail tech or client out there. So for us to move forward in good faith, we have to make a change and we can't use that term anymore. It's going to be difficult. I know it's going to be difficult, and people are going to be like, oh, your products, they're not hypoallergenic. It's like, it doesn't exist in the nail industry. Hypoallergenic doesn't exist.
This was my main concern right away. As soon as you take away the term hypoallergenic, everyone's looking for hypoallergenic. Yeah. So as soon as you remove that from the literature, the packaging, whatever, people are like, well, it's not hypoallergenic, so I don't want it.
I think
what's more important to you?
My integrity. Always. That's why we'll never be the biggest nail brand in the world. Yeah. I don't think I would want to be anyway, but yeah, our integrity will always let us down. But we will be able to live with ourselves, and that's the most important thing.
Goddamn Jimmy Cricket. Is that the guy sitting in your...
Always let your conscience be your guide. Give it a little whistle.
And Laura is like...
It's a new jingle.
Yeah, Laura is very good for that though, for being a little... angel.
No, we do this for each other though.
We do.
We have to check each other when we create content, because sometimes I'll say something and you're like, I can't say that.
I don't
and
think
then the same
so.
with you as well.
And I'll be like, Laura, I've got a great TikTok idea. Watch this. And Laura's like, absolutely not.
But I think because we regularly practice accountability like that, it's easy for us to do this and just say to our customers, like, we're dropping this term.
We didn't
really
like
agree
it.
with it anymore.
Didn't work for us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't feel like a big deal to me. Like, oh my god, this is gonna have some backlash or whatever. No, it feels okay.
I spend my life expecting backlash right now.
Yeah, same. I mean, if you live in that constant fight or flight mode, then yeah, nothing's really that scary, is it?
At the end of the day, I remember Laura saying that it doesn't make a difference because I have to explain what hypoallergenic is. So I may as well explain what is, because that actually means something.
You need to re-say that because we haven't released the term.
At the end of the day, I remember Laura saying, I have to explain what hypoallergenic is to the customers on Instagram. So I now have to So I'm now going to, I can't do it without saying the word. So I'm now going to have to explain what this new term is and what this means.
There's no extra work, yeah, because like she's having to explain it. Laura's not, again, because it wouldn't sit with our morals as a brand or our group conscience as a brand. Laura will never say, yeah, our products are hypoallergenic. She will not use the term generically like that. She would only say it with context behind it. So yeah, we call this hypoallergenic. That means it is free from. There will always be a context behind it. So simply changing the word hypoallergenic to the word that we're actually using, it's kind of exactly.
I'm always saying to us, hypoallergenic means free from HEMA, HPMA, IBOA, and Di-HEMA. Like, so
there's no difference.
There's literally no difference whatsoever. No skin off my back.
So when Laura came in that day, we got to our brainstorming and we started going through.
Yes, I have it written down.
She's got it written down, all the things. So we were writing down all different things, coming up with different ideas, brainstorming what this term might be.
So we said, what about free from?
And then Laura said, it's giving eggs.
You know when you walk down Tesco aisle and you're like,
it's giving what in the gluten-free, fun-free? And so then we said, well, what about for free? And then you said
foreplay. Nope.
No. What did I say? But then that will get confused.
Oh, yes. And I said, well, that to me is alluding to the whole 10 free, 15 free,
infinite free
rhetoric that is within the nail industry anyway. Maybe some older nail techs will remember this was a big thing, 10 free, and it was free from things like formaldehyde, like just like really quite toxic things.
Was it top 10 carcinogenic?
Yeah,
or something
it
like
was.
That?
It was things like that. So yeah.
Which it shouldn't have.
Like
anyway.
camphor, formaldehyde, things like that, right?
There was weird things that really should have been nail products.
There was a whole list of other things, and then it was like 10 free, 15 free, 21 free. And I was like, it just alludes to that. And then people are like, well, people will say, oh, if you're only 4 free, why are you not 10 free? And I'm like, yeah, we can't do that.
So then we said, we do this thing. We need to film the process also a bit off track, but naming gel polishes, where we just like spitfire random names.
Do you know what? We should actually do an Instagram live.
Yeah.
And just get people involved and they can actually just do it for us and we were like, screw it.
So we're spitfire names like 4 clear, and then we're like clear, but the 4 is like an A.
And then we were like, that's giving pregnancy vibes.
Yes, that's giving clear blue pregnancy test. Not sponsored. And then we were talking about words that are similar to hypoallergenic, like sensitive and
gentle, delicate. But then we were like, no, because that is still giving the same as hypoallergenic. So we didn't want to use any words that were going to allude to the product being safe or anything like that. So we needed to keep away completely from that.
Mm-hmm. And like leave no room for insinuation that it could be something else. So we had like a pure pause moment where we just had to really think, and then Becca came up with, what about, she does this, what about -4? And we were like, that's it. That's the one.
And then immediately,
Chris shat all over the idea.
Well, yes, he did.
As always,
but
you've got to play
immediately
devil's advocate.
We knew how it was gonna be. We were like -4, like the number -4, and then there can be like, it can be in a cloud, and there can be like little snowflakes coming down from it. So we've got clouds from the angel and blah blah.
The vision was coming together.
We really did, like straight away. We just were seeing how it was going to fit with our brand. So the term that we are using to replace hypoallergenic is -4. And we really like it.
Yeah. I personally really like it because as a person, I'm very matter of fact. Like, I like to just stick to, you guys are like that as well. Like, I don't like to
pussyfoot.
I was going to say that, but I didn't know if that was PG. Yeah, I don't like
chat a second ago.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to have to put the explicit thing on this one.
Yeah, I don't like the pussyfoot around things. So, -4 of these most common sort of main allergens in the nail industry, like, you can't argue with that, and you can't say, oh, you insinuated that was no risk of reaction. Like, you just can't.
It's just very matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, it's not implying safety in any way. It's telling you exactly what to expect from this product and these products.
Mm-hmm. And I really like that.
Yeah, no room for interpretation otherwise. So then we went on in the conversation, and then I said, oh, well, what about TPO? Shouldn't it be -5? And then you said...
I said, well, that is at the time I said a mute point. It's actually a moot point. It is a moot point because TPO is being banned, so it should be free from that anyway. And that would like be saying, what was the thing we used at the time?
Nut free.
Yeah, nut free, because, well, the nail product shouldn't have nuts in it anyway, so it's redundant. It's completely
Do you know what annoys
pointless.
me? You see this vegan thing?
When people use, not vegans. When people use the term inappropriately.
Completely. Like, what has that got to do with the price of vegan cheese?
So yeah, a term such as vegan, you cannot apply that term to a product unless there is a non-vegan alternative. That is the rule. And that's the sort of logic that I was applying to the -5 thing. I mean, if you could go down a list and be like, oh, minus 15,000, and then we could add a million other things. But because the products in Europe, obviously it's being banned, there is no set date for the UK, but the UK will probably follow suit. So we are just making it future-proof. Well, as in we're making the products future-proof. Yeah, if there isn't a TPO alternative, then saying TPO free, redundant.
Yeah,
But
and then sorry.
So many people have jumped on us. Again, this is highlighting the problem.
Oh, what
as soon as this TPO things, all of a sudden everyone's website became TPO free. We're a TPO free brand. I seen actually. You can go to I think if you search ads.facebook, you can see all the ads library of adverts that our businesses are putting out there. And people, that's what they're instantly. That's what their Facebook advertising campaign.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, I have seen that.
I didn't know that.
I've seen 2 brands doing that.
But that to me is scaremongering, and that is the whole point of what we are doing here. This is the whole point of kind of even this whole podcast is we are trying to cut through the BS, like you said in the last one, and reduce the scaremongering. And honestly, brands who are doing that, you should be ashamed of yourself. If you are using scaremongering to market your products, there is you can use integrity to market your products. You don't need to scare people, and especially on the back of everything that nail techs have been through. You know, they've been through the whole pandemic where their business was eradicated and they couldn't trade and they lost their livelihood. And on top of that, the allergy epidemic, which terrified everybody.
But people just like to make money. That's the problem. That's the problem. And like you said about dignity and stuff earlier on.
But when you're working on people's body, it should never be about money. If products that are for the body, if you're selling them, there needs to be passion behind it. There needs to be education behind it, and it can't just be for the love of money. It can't.
So what about products that are marketed as gluten-free and non-toxic? We had that conversation as well.
Of course it's bloody toxic. It's got acrylates in it. Would you drink it? If the answer is no, it is toxic.
Gluten-free? Fun-free?
Do you know of any nail products with gluten in it? Do your gels have gluten in them?
There must have been something at some point.
There might.
It does confuse me, the gluten-free
I
thing.
have read about this somewhere, but as far as I know, modern, today-wise, in the gel products that we're talking about, I don't believe there is any products that have.
The first time I seen this vegan thing, I thought it was a piss take. I thought this brand was just being funny. You know the way
the gluten thing?
Yeah, you know the way we try to be like funny every turn to try and make things as light-hearted as possible. I thought it was a piss take. I thought it was a piss take. And then I realised, no, they're actually marketing this as vegan.
Gluten-free, you mean?
Yeah, how stupid.
Oh, it seems stupid to me. I don't know. It makes no sense to me, but I mean,
but then we're also open to be educated.
Yeah, exactly. If we're wrong, please let us know. But I have done a deep dive
in the comments.
Yeah. I have done a deep dive into this previously. The information is not readily coming to my mind right now because it was a long time ago. But I looked into it at the time, and it is not something that I can see that there is a.
I remember you telling me about it in regards to the cuticle oil because it has wheat germ oil in it. And so there was someone that had said, could we make a cuticle oil that was wheat germ oil free because they had a gluten intolerance? And so,
but topically, it can't be. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, well, you're not eating it, but they said that because they like bit their nails and bit their fingers and stuff like that.
But the amount would be so small. Like even the actual I'm sure I was on the celiac website and things like that. Even that was like no. So yeah, even with that,
it's hard. But the best will in the world, like cuticle oil, is not free. For instance, the one that we have. But is there some sort of like coconut or something?
Well, coconut is
technically not a nut.
Yeah, it's technically not a nut.
So technical. Well,
there is a lot of things, but obviously there's almond oil.
That's what it was.
And lots of other nuts.
Crazy nuts.
No, it's absolutely nuts.
So to make things not nuts and clear, how are we going to be labeling these products?
So when it comes to the actual packaging, our Duragel -4, which hopefully if you're listening to this on Sunday, should be launching tonight at 7 p.m. Fingers crossed. That will be the first product that we have that has that displayed on the packaging. There will be another product coming after that has it on the packaging. And that's because these are labelled products and it's going on a pot. There's a lot of surface area. It makes sense. In terms of our bottles, I don't see us putting it on the bottles.
I had an idea.
I
had an idea.
What?
See on the black side, it's just black. Let's just do -4.
We could, but the whole thing was if somebody just wanted just that plain black aesthetic, they could have that if they wanted to in their bottles. But yeah, no, it is something that we could do. I don't know if there is a need for that. But what we'll be doing on the website is we will be putting a little mark on each product, and if it is a -4 product, and it'll just say -4, and then I think in the info we'll have a little -4 section, which will take you probably to a blog about what -4 means.
One thing I would say is like our gel polishes, for instance, we maybe ordered them 12 months ago for production, like, so they're coming in now. We could never have predicted this, so they would never have this thing on it. So it will be a steady rollout with a lot of bottles, for example, which are printed with other things that have got wraparound labels, for example.
It's much faster,
it's much quicker.
I don't know if we'll ever introduce it to the bottles. I don't know if it's something that we have to do, to be honest with you.
The bottles are already fully compliant, and if you look at the back of them, all the ingredients are listed there. So it does have the information on it, just not the logo. And
the point that Laura was making to me earlier, and this was one of the points behind this, I've just remembered. The reason that Duragel has a -4 counterpart, so Duragel -4, is because it has a non-4 counterpart. So there is normal Duragel, which is not -4. So it makes sense to have the
differentiator.
It does. Whereas with the gel polish, which is technically -4, there's no point in labeling it -4 because there isn't something that isn't -4.
My only thing is you're going to have customers who have a question about that. So I think it's maybe something that we're going to have to reach out.
That's the point though. Like, we want customers to ask these questions. Like, you should be asking these questions to the brand that you're using and educating yourself, I think.
The great thing is that the amount of people that are going to ask what -4 means is going to be way more than the number of people that will ask us what hypoallergenic means to us. You can guarantee that pretty much 90% of the people who ask us what -4 is would never have asked us what hypoallergenic meant to us. Yeah. So actually, we're going to be inadvertently further educating people on the whole hypoallergenic situation and making people a little bit more aware of what they're using and the risks involved, and the fact that there are always risks.
What if, I'm playing devil's advocate here, what if other brands decide it might actually be a good idea?
Bring it on.
Yeah.
Bring it on. It'd be great if, we could create a standard,
This isn't something that we've only said as well. We are good friends with Lottie Seymour from Manny Science, and she has expressed to you, I know, before we even had this conversation, that if it was her brand, she personally wouldn't label a product in the gel industry hypoallergenic. And I think that did kind of get the cogs turning a wee bit for you.
Absolutely. You need to always be open to what people have to say, especially people who are more educated than you. Lottie is a chemist, has degrees, so she really does know what she's talking about. And if somebody like that is saying something, you do need to start thinking about that. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the other brands that has already dropped the term hypoallergenic, run by one of the most renowned chemists in the nail industry. Again, if they're doing that type of thing, do you need to start thinking about that? Then you probably do as well.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Put your ego aside.
Always.
Listen to the people that know a little bit more in that field than you. And actually, this decision that's been made by us has sent all the information over to Lottie from Manny Science, and it is backed by Manny Science. So just to validate the kind of decision that we're making, if anybody wanted to know that.
Yeah, I think that.
Backed by Lottie.
Backed by Lottie. I like that. I do. Backed by someone who knows what they're talking about, not just us.
Yeah, exactly. That's important though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just us idiots with a couple of microphones.
Just us dafties.
It's great that we're going to have a visual representation on the websites where you can go and you can make an informed decision that is -4 and I'm going to go for that. What are the products that we have currently in stock that are not -4?
Okay, so not -4 would be normal Duragel. It has low percentage HEMA in it, 4%. Not -4 Angel. Whilst it is free of the other 3 main allergens, it's free of HEMA, it's free of Di-HEMA, and free of IBOA. We don't have any products with IBOA in it, just to be clear. It does have low percentage HPMA in it, so that would not be -4. X Gel is low percentage HEMA, so 7.97%. That would not be -4.
Extra sensitive?
Is being discontinued, so a moot point is the word of the day. But
I'm
though
just
that
rename this podcast.
moot point, that would not be -4 because that had low percentage HPMA in it. But everything else, rack your brains, kids.
Is there a world you can see where we just don't have anything that is not -4? And then that -4
What
becomes
do you
a
mean?
moot point?
Do you mean is there a world where we are fully -4? Is that what you mean? I don't see the need to. No. What we are, again, as a brand, trying to cut through the bullshit, trying to reduce the scaremongering. We don't want to add to that narrative of, oh, HEMA is the devil, or this is the devil, or the new chemical is the devil, because there's always going to be something new. You take something out, you replace it with something else, people become oversensitized to that. That is just the way that it works. So no, I don't see a need to. If it happens, it will be by accident, not because it's a decision that we've made. So for instance, if people use Duragel -4 and they think it is as good as Duragel, it performs identically, there is absolutely no difference, and then we end up discontinuing Duragel, and then say the same thing happens with Angel, and then we pretty much eventually become just -4, it will be completely by accident, and only because people haven't seen any difference between the non-4 version. It won't have been a conscious choice.
That is a question that I have seen a couple of customers, and bear in mind, like literally one or two, ask. It's like, why not just have everything hypoallergenic then?
Because you don't need to. You don't need to. Again, it goes back to this whole thing. If you don't have a HEMA allergy, why are you so concerned? 2.4% of people have an allergy to acrylates/methacrylates. Of those, 1.5% are expected to have an allergy to HEMA. The majority of those people, like we discussed in the last episode, it is from occupational use, occupational exposure. So whether that is working in a factory that deals with those type of chemicals, being a nail tech, working in the dental field, etc., etc. Most of it is not from recreational use. So we are talking about a very small percentage of people. And products, chemicals such as HEMA, have been used in the industry for years and years and years, decades, without any issue. So I don't know so much if we have to look at the individual chemical as to why people have become allergic to that chemical. What else has been happening round about them? We talked about this in the last episode. The development of builder gel potentially being used incorrectly. All of these things. Could it be not the chemical itself that's the problem, but everything else surrounding it?
Undercured monomers, stuff like that.
Or, yeah. So why do it? Why do you have to? A lot of people struggle with products that don't have HEMA in them. Again, if we're talking about 4% HEMA, when it's responsibly sourced, responsibly made here in the UK, I mean, I touch wood. I mean, it is going to happen, but I can't think to mind of knowing any person who's had a reported reaction to Duragel.
I've never seen that.
I've never seen it.
Opened any messages or something. But not that
so, and it's one of our best sellers. So,
but even if they did, again, we've said already 1.5% of people are expected to have an allergy to HEMA, so it is normal. It is expected to happen. But certainly it's a product that I'm probably least worried about out of anything. And it is one of the only products we have that has HEMA in it. So
I think, so let's spin this round. If you're developing a new product, or if you're developing a new formula of a product, are you very conscious of the chemicals that are within it, and do you try and eliminate them, or do you focus more on trying to make the product the best it can be?
I'm very conscious of what is in the product, but there is no point in making a product that is free from X, Y, and Z, but simply doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that the reason that these chemicals are in the products in the first place is because they work and they do a job.
I remember us having this conversation when it was the gel polish launch not long happened. And then you were like, we're going to do builder gel stuff. And you didn't opt for the hypoallergenic option for the builder gel. And I questioned that. I was like, well, why, if you've got a gel polish line that is hypoallergenic, why are you not going for a hypoallergenic builder gel as well? That doesn't make any sense. And you were just plain simple, like, I've sampled these and they're not good. And so we're not going with that. I'd rather give people good products than hypoallergenic shit products.
Exactly. What's the point otherwise? And at the end of the day, people have historically been used to using products that have HEMA in it that work really well. It's kind of like going back to the old TPO argument, that when you take TPO out, which is the most commonly used photoinitiator, because it is the best and there is no direct replacement for TPO. So whatever you put in, you are having to sacrifice something, and there is going to be some changes, whether it's yellowing, whether it's heat spikes, whether it is more inhibition to oxygen. There's sacrifices to be made, and it's going to be the same with HEMA. And like I said earlier, you take one thing out and you replace it with something else, oversensitization will happen to that as well. So first and foremost, If you can't make a product that works, that is free from those products, then you shouldn't be making the product at all. The product has to work. Number one.
Yeah, nail techs have to make money, and to do that, they need products that work.
Exactly. So it has to be
you can't
safe.
just give them something saying, "Here you go."
Yeah.
It's not got a lot of these allergens in it. Good luck. Bye. Like,
yeah. Sliding off the customer's nails.
Literally, it's really good as a peel off base. So yeah, when we're making a new product, I don't like to mix common allergens. I'd rather not have HEMA and HPMA in something. I'd rather have one or the other, always in low percentages, always responsibly sourced.
Let's talk about that real quick. You keep saying responsibly sourced. What does that mean?
Not all raw materials are made the same. And raw materials of one material can inadvertently have small percentages of other allergens in them.
And you learned that the hard way. With
I
the
did, yeah, I did. We nearly got the wrong one. Do you remember that when we were testing?
I watched the podcast where you discussed it. Yeah,
so close, so close.
What podcast was that, Laura?
It was
the very first
the
Nail
very
on Sunday
first.
podcast. Yeah,
Like and subscribe.
Spend all day with you guys, and then I go home and spend even more time.
I'll tell you a quick story. I know this is off topic, but I said to Stacey in passing, I said, "Oh, we mentioned you on the podcast the other day. There, this was a couple of weeks ago." She hadn't watched or listened to any of the podcast, so she went home and she like binged like 3 podcasts. And we said, just in passing, Stacey doesn't like change. And that was the only thing we said.
She had to watch some.
She came in the next morning.
Watch like 10 podcasts.
Yeah, she came in the next morning. Her eyes were all red, and she was like, "I was up till like 1 o'clock watching these podcasts." And
They are really good though. Like it's hard to set aside time, like as someone that works here, to do that. But when I do, I get like hooked into them. They're really good. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We appreciate you coming on this one. The reason we got Laura on this one, I'm sure you've worked it out by now, is she's having to tell you guys in front for this campaign, you know.
But also, Laura was a big part of the, how we came to the -4 and the decision in general.
Laura is a big part of the company. I think that Rebecca and I probably show face a little bit too much. But Laura,
I don't know. Have you seen Laura's TikTok? I say it's Laura's TikTok because it's not ours.
Jasmine's TikTok now.
Again,
but the thing is, you guys always include every single staff member in all of these decisions, which people might not realise as well. Like, even when it comes to naming products, or like, everyone has an input, literally everyone.
Yeah.
It's a big family unit, and we all have a say. And if someone doesn't like something, they'll speak up, but sometimes they'll get shunned, and that happens to me quite often. Not all of my ideas are good, I can say that for sure.
I feel exactly the same. Shunned.
Even mine. Some of
No,
mine.
Laura can vouch for me. Like, if Rebecca thinks to herself, this might not go down well, she just gets it done. All of a sudden, we've got like 10,000 scrunchies on our way, and we're like, how the did this happen?
Yeah, or when you went off piece with Rapture. Love that one.
Kids got oil caddies. There are quite a few things, and they'll just turn up and people will be like, "What are these?" I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I just thought we could do that."
Usually when I go on holiday, I come back and there's some kind of chaos. Like, you've hired 2 staff members that don't really know what their job is.
Yeah, but that's what happens when I get left alone, right?
Yeah,
I need a carer.
without distraction.
Speaking of distractions,
but yeah, this is a big marketing campaign, and again, Laura was a big part of the decision, and so yeah, we thought it was the right thing.
I like it when the staff hold us accountable. You know, if we suggest something and they don't like it, I like how honest you guys are. Like, this just isn't going to work, you know? And maybe it is a good idea. We always see here at Nail Order, spark, boom. Somebody has a bit of a spark, somebody creates it into something a lot bigger. And I do like the collaborative effort. Hopefully you guys, when you see this advertising campaign, it'll just make sense.
it also helps as well that a lot of your staff are working nail techs.
Yep.
So they're the ones that I value the opinion of the most whenever I'm needing help with stuff. Like,
She came out of the warehouse the other day and she was like, "Working nail techs, I need your opinion."
I did
And
it
was
as
like,
well the other day.
And I was like, "I'm so busy, Laura." And she was like, "No, actual working nail techs." I was like, "No, but I'm technically working and I am technically a nail tech."
I mean, they're there and we should use them.
Mhm.
Like, of course they work for Nail Order as like a warehouse employee or something, but they are still actively doing nails in the salon. You guys don't do that anymore, but obviously you did have that. And so that input in modern day is so relevant and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like invaluable
Absolutely.
as a marketer.
I agree. I did it the other day as well. I walked in and I was like, "Working nail techs, I need you. Come and test this for me. Which one do you prefer?"
They love it though, I think.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's almost like a little secret club where
Yeah.
they're helping to develop products, but they probably don't know it. They're just giving their honest opinion. And we're like,
It is very interesting though, because you need them to test things because they are like the people working every day. But then there's also other things like behind it that they may not think about that we all think about. Do you know what I mean? So like you said, that collaborative effort hopefully creates really good products and thought about from all different angles.
It was like when Jasmine said to me, "But how do you know that colour is going to be the bestseller?" Before we
You
even
just
released it, and we were like, "We just know.
We
Like,
just
we
know.
just know."
We can do it for every single thing that comes out and just go boop,
Did you do
boop,
that?
there it is.
Did you do that with Auburn?
Yeah,
Auburn.
Auburn and Bewitched. Yeah, we reckon those would be the bestsellers.
Yeah. Bewitched still got loads on the shelf. Auburn.
Not loads. Auburn and Bewitched were selling equally.
They
to
were
begin
the
with.
two. Auburn, Bewitched, and Dear John were the 3 bestsellers during autumn.
Yeah.
But I
actually
will
did
say
that
that
exam.
Dear John I did not predict for sure. I did
That's
not predict that.
been wild.
That was crazy.
Yeah, green is in.
I did not predict that.
We have gone a little bit off topic though.
That's
That's
okay.
the best way. That is the
Have you got
best.
anything else you'd like to discuss in regards to -4, Laura?
Yeah, I just have some notes. Oh yeah, so like SDS.
Mhm.
That was something that I thought we should talk about. So like if someone's ever unsure if a product is -4, or if someone's ever unsure about if it contains a certain chemical, I just wanted to say, like, from my personal opinion, that I think that SDS should be readily available on the website at the point of purchase in an ingredient section, which ours are. Because if, like you said, if your client has a allergic reaction, how are you going to know what's in it and to provide that information accordingly? If something happens, you're liable. You should know what you're using. And I agree, there should be more education on how to actually read these SDS sheets. It does seem a little bit intimidating, but even as someone that has a learning difficulty, I have dyscalculia. When it's in table format, I can understand it. It's just a case of wanting to know and being interested in it. And sometimes people don't care. But what we're hoping to do with this campaign is spark people to
Spark their interest.
Yeah, spark their interest. Exactly.
I think the best thing about -4 is you don't have to go troll an SDS sheet. You just look at the product and you know right away, just on that face, it doesn't contain those 4 main allergens.
Yeah.
It's super simplified. It's super easy.
Cut out a lot of hard work for you.
Yeah. Me personally, I think an SDS sheet is great for, like, for you and I. We can work it out. We we know what they are. I'd love to see a simplified version that is just readily available for nail techs, so they can just look at it and go, "Ah, yeah, I get that." I think one of the biggest things is the names are wild.
And the names can have many names.
Yeah.
You know, like HEMA.
Di-HEMA.
Well,
is
no,
one-
well, HEMA and Di-HEMA are obviously different things, but HEMA itself, the one chemical, can be denoted as several different.
Yeah.
You could have HEMA, you could have hydroxyethyl methacrylate, you could have 2 brackets hydroxyethyl methacrylate. And so if somebody saw that hydroxyethyl methacrylate, they saw something that wasn't denoted as the actual word HEMA, they might think that something was HEMA-free.
Yeah.
So there is a lot to learn, and it can be very intimidating, yeah, for sure.
I think what we're trying to do with this campaign is just to streamline it, make it super simple, so that you, on face value, you can go to the website or you can look at a product and you know that that product is -4.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that there's no risk of reaction just
Absolutely not.
because it's -4 of these common allergens. In the same way that if a product did have a common allergen in it, that doesn't mean you're inevitably going to experience a reaction. You know, like we eat nuts sometimes every day. Does that mean that you're going to eventually, inevitably develop a nut allergy? Probably not. I eat nuts quite a lot. I have protein bars like most days, and I've not developed a nut allergy. So, you know, pollen, like, yes, I do have a pollen allergy, but that happens. That's my body, and that's how it reacts to the environment around me.
And that's what people need to remember, that an allergy is an individual's immune response to something that it just doesn't like, where another person wouldn't react. That's literally the definition of an allergy.
I've just realised that I'm my own worst enemy
Why?
because I love to mow my lawn.
Yeah.
And the more I mow my lawn...
Allergy bite overexposure.
Yeah, that's what it is. I never used to
Right there.
have allergies.
Never mind HEMA.
Yeah, I never used to have...
Hay fever.
hay fever.
Hay fever. I forgot that as well.
Yeah, and yeah, I've developed it, and it's probably because I love to stripe my lawn.
I've
It's my own
developed
fault.
it as well. I never used to have it until maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. So that just shows you, like, you can develop it anytime.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, with nail products, once you develop an allergy, it is lifelong. So that is something you should be aware of as well if you're considering hypoallergenic products, and especially if you're considering, like, trialing a client on a hypoallergenic product because they've had an allergy. That is dangerous territory.
It is dangerous territory because it's never guaranteed, and also you could try them on a. I've actually seen it a few times on our own group, people saying, "Oh, I've got a client. She had allergies before. I moved her on to such and such. She's been fine for a few months, but now it looks like she's got like signs of an allergy again, even though I haven't been using products that have the original chemical in it." because once they've got one allergy, it can very easily lead to another, to another, to another. So it's kind of a slippery slope at that point.
One thing I remember as well is I'd seen someone, I have this customer, they have an allergy to HEMA or something. So I've just automatically went and used a different one that doesn't have HEMA in it. But that product might have HPMA in it. And that's actually what they're allergic to. It's not the HEMA. It's just because it's
if
not
you've
been
not had the
tested properly.
testing, you can't possibly.
It's just
know.
the assumption because that one contained HEMA. That's what it is.
So the other thing that I thought, maybe, I know you guys have discussed this in previous podcasts, and I would still encourage listeners to go and listen to the other podcasts in more detail, but ways in which reactions can occur, even with the use of hypoallergenic products, or what we will now refer to as -4 products. So like we touched on, general exposure, like you can develop an allergy just by exposing yourself to it too often, uncured monomer, and a big thing that we like to touch on, and that you're very like precise about, is cure thickness.
Yeah.
I think more people should know about the
I've never
thickness.
heard another brand talk about cure thickness.
Neither have I. No, I have heard
you have?
one brand. I've heard Magpie talking about it.
Oh, great.
Actually, yeah, they're also big advocates for the fact that Bowser gel shouldn't be used, in their opinion, to create an extension, because it can't be cured at the thickness required to make an apex. I've heard them. I've not heard them. Seen them say that in comments before. Uncured gel on the skin, overfiling of the nail plate, general improper use of gel products like airbrushing, for example. I'm still seeing this on my timeline, unfortunately. At-home gel nails.
That was something that we forgot to talk about last week, the allergy thing, and then we were like, oh, darn it. Like, at-home use has contributed to the allergy thing. People who are not professional using products that are for professionals, getting it on the skin, overfiling their nails, applying gel to the intermediate layer of the nail, etc., etc. All things that can contribute to the allergy situation.
We did touch on non-professionals doing gel, but one thing I'd like to do as a podcast is non-professionals doing gel at home. But
that's
also
a whole podcast in itself. Yeah.
These products being sold on TikTok and Amazon just for anyone to pick up at home, I think that is in itself a whole podcast.
And when you put your business head on, so when you have a business like ours, there's many heads you need to wear. And your business head can see these other people, other brands selling all their gels on TikTok, and you're like, oh God, how great would that be? Because that's a whole revenue stream that you're missing out on.
Or what about your
it's not the right
box?
What do you mean your tip box?
Are you a professional? Yes.
Yes. That
Add
too.
to cart.
So these are things you think about because you're like, I'm missing business opportunities where other people are grabbing them. And would it be the right thing to do for your business? Yes. But would it be the right thing to do morally? No. And what Laura's talking about is, obviously, to shop a nail order, to buy any of our gels or professional use products, you need to register for an account. So when you register for your account, you provide copies of your certificates and we'll check them and then we'll approve you. Whereas there are other brands or places that you can shop, wholesalers and stuff like that, where you simply have to tick a box saying that you agree that you are a professional.
But
if you want it,
you see this happen in the hair industry a lot, specifically with people buying bleach and at-home dyes and stuff like that because they've ticked a box to say that they're a professional, or they've just bought it off the shelf in Tesco. And look at the epidemic that happens.
Does it make business sense? Yes, but it doesn't. It makes financial sense, but it doesn't make moral sense.
There's a difference between business sense and financial sense. I think as a business.
Okay, fine. I see what you mean. I see what you're saying. It makes financial sense, but it maybe doesn't make business sense because in the long run, you could be creating a rod for your own back. Yeah.
I think also just what you said there about the hair industry, the beauty, nail and hair industry are intertwined. You can get a salon services card because you're qualified nails and go in and buy bleach. Start bleaching your hair with 12%. So bad,
But more the point, you can get a salon services card because you're a qualified hairdresser, and that enables you to buy all the nail products as well. So yeah, I think people do need to think about what they're applying to their body and go, oh, it's just nails. It's not just nails. There can be a knock-on effect on the rest of your health in terms of, we talked about this last time as well, medical implants, dental procedures and things like that. If you needed, a hip replacement, certain like bone cements and things may have these acrylates, methacrylates in them. So it can have a knock-on effect for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's not just a case of, oh no, I've got itchy fingers, let me take an antihistamine.
It's not as simple as that. It can seem as simple as that. And I would probably have been one of those people in another life that would have agreed that. But
that's why it's important to educate yourself about this stuff, because your clients are coming to you as the trained professional. And so if you're able to tell them these kind of things and make them aware of the risks, then that's what they're coming to you for. They don't want to go to somebody that doesn't really know what they're talking about.
Exactly.
So you should want to be able to educate yourself on these kind of things.
It's like we've all heard those stories about people who've literally died from having their hair dyed. Do you know what I mean? You don't hear them often, but it does happen. And I know everybody thinks that's not going to happen to me. That's not going to happen to me. But there's always the person that happens to, and they also didn't think it was going to happen to them. So
We've got a responsibility as a brand to make sure trained professionals are using the products. And then the trained professionals that are buying the products also have a responsibility as a business owner to make sure that they're using the products correctly and are aware of the products that they're using, and also making their clients aware of like potential risks and stuff, especially if they're coming to them saying, yeah, I used to do my nails at home and I had allergies and stuff like that. Like, you should know that that client is a bit of a red flag and that you should probably conduct patch tests on them, ask about their history with gel products. I know you touched on this again in the last one because I watched it, but somebody coming out with like some kind of method and way to do that when it comes to like consultations. That's one thing I probably would like to see a bit more in the
do you know
industry,
what I would be
consultations.
really interested to know is the allergy numbers in a country such as America compared to ours. I feel like I could be totally wrong because, of course, I don't have like my eyes on things in America as much as I would here. I feel like the allergy situation in America is nowhere near as bad as what it is here.
Well, I've been watching Lacquer Lassie's journey in New York. Have you seen it?
Yes.
And the amount of training she's having to
Yes,
go
and this
through?
is what I'm alluding to. In
Yeah.
America, they have to be licensed and they have to go and like they have to perform a certain amount of hours. They have to show that they're educated to a certain level. I know it's going to be different from state to state. We have nothing here. Nothing.
We dropped something off at a customer in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah, we did.
And she was telling us about the education that she had to go through, the thousands of dollars that they have to go through
And the
school
amount
for.
of hours that they had to like do before they could get that.
So realistically, that license is your license to trade. Imagine that being taken away from you. All of a sudden, like, you just lose your business.
The only
More
time you have to get a
seriously?
license here is for like tattooing. And obviously I've had a license inspection so many times. You don't have to do any sort of, it's nothing like that. It's
You don't
nothing like
perform
you
anything.
have to, you're not performing anything. You're not going to a school and showing that you've done a certain level of hours of schooling and that you have a certain level of education. There isn't a test to do. So yeah, it's something in the industry that we've talked about this before. Who was it we talked about it with? I can't remember now, but they'll never bother because, in fact, I think it was with Asia on another podcast. They'll never bother because to them it's just silly little girls playing, getting their nails done.
That's
And it's
right,
not that much of a problem.
Yeah.
But really, actually, it could be a very, very big problem.
Yeah, and that's where education comes in, knowing that there are risks with what you're using, regardless of whether that packaging on that product states that it's hypoallergenic or if it says -4 or if it doesn't say anything. There's always that risk that if it's being used incorrectly or like all the other things that we discussed, that it could cause an allergy, which can have other effects along the line.
The irony is that in America, healthcare is private. They have to pay for the healthcare. So if something goes wrong, they have an allergic reaction or whatever, they have to pay for that. But here, it's not. So it's actually the NHS picking up the bill. So maybe the government should have a think about putting some steps in because people having allergies to acrylates could have a big detrimental effect on their health, which the NHS has to pick up the bill for.
You should write them a strongly worded letter.
If I had the time to even get our car back we haven't had for 4 months.
I got ChatGPT to write my letter this morning. What I did is I put their response email to saying that we've not had a car for 6 months. I put it into ChatGPT and they wrote this nice big long email. So I just sent it to them.
So I'll put it to the
Goodness.
end of the queue with that. But yeah, I mean, if somebody else wants to start something, I'll get behind it for sure.
Just when you're talking about red flags for customers there, that flashback happened as soon as you said it. We used to have a customer in our old salon who used to take an antihistamine before they come in to get nails done.
She's actually our friend.
Yes, I know. I didn't want to allude to that in case it come back to us. And we were like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, because she had itchy fingers for like a day after it.
It's all good. She didn't have, to be fair, she had no, to be fair, look at me backtracking right here. And there was no other symptoms. She didn't have any onycholysis. She didn't thicken the nail bed.
She was taking medication
She
to
didn't
get her
have
bloody nails done.
She didn't have any blisters or dry cracked skin, and it would pass after a couple of days.
This was long before an allergy epidemic.
Oh, God.
Epidemic as well.
This was when I was still doing nails.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was long before that. Yeah, way before that. But yeah, she would just take antihistamines.
Yeah.
I've heard of other people doing that as well.
Red flag.
Yeah, a lot of clients are red flags, and we've talked about this a lot, Becca, where like sometimes you just need to be able to say no. Like, I'm not doing that as a professional. It is my job to tell you.
go on, I'm
no.
going on holiday. Please just pop an
Yeah,
earline.
just put them on. It's fine. I don't care.
And you're the ones that say,
Accurate.
I don't care. They're the ones that's going to come back and
Oh,
bite you in
they-
the ass.
they
big time.
really
You don't know
are.
if they're going to turn around and sue you. That happens.
That does happen.
Don't sue me, bro. That's going to be a new neon sign. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for joining us in the podcast, Laura. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for
Do you
having
want to
me.
come along tomorrow? Because you're a wee fun bunny.
What, so we're doing another one tomorrow, are we?
No.
Oh, you said tomorrow. Do you want
said-
to come along tomorrow?
Come along again.
Oh,
Come along-
right, I thought you
come
said
along
tomorrow.
Some other time.
I'll be happy to participate whenever you need me.
Okay.
But you guys are doing just fine on your own.
Oh.
That's sweet. All right. So let's get the heck out of here.
So hopefully, guys, this will be going up on Sunday morning, and fingers crossed on Sunday night we'll be launching our -4 Duragel, and our campaign will be rolling out throughout the day. Obviously, if you're listening to this after Sunday, go back and have a look at all the -4 things that we are doing. We'll have a blog on the website, and there will be, I mean, to be fair, if you've listened to this, then you have got pretty much all the information that you need, more information than we have anywhere else. But if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you give us a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to be notified when we release our next episode.
For anyone who's listening, Laura's just
Does it have bendable fingers? Wow.
I
If you're-
actually stole this.
If you're listening to the podcast, you just need to go watch it on YouTube. Like and subscribe.
Don't include that, but I did actually steal it.